Hey, sports fans, Larry Eater here. This is Socialing the Distance and the Journey to Compete. The Journey to Compete is a collaboration between Nike and RunBlogRun. We're talking to Nike elite athletes and coaches about their journeys in the sports of cross country and track and field. We're with Karissa Schweizer today, two-time Olympian. Karissa, great to see you.
Yes, thanks for having me on.
Did I pronounce your name correctly? Because I destroy the English language.
Yes, no, it's actually my last name's pronounced with a T in it, but
Schweitzer? Okay, cool.
yeah, but there is no T.
Now, are you from Missouri?
No, I'm from Iowa, but I went to college in Missouri,
Okay, I was just curious. Now,
Midwest.
where are you from in Iowa?
Des Moines,
Oh,
where like
cool.
Drake relays are and all
Oh,
that.
yes. I went to Drake 2 years ago. Well, I've been to U.S. championships, but I never got to sit down and enjoy Drake. And I went and stayed and watched all the relay heats, which was a lot of fun. It's
Yeah,
just a pretty neat meet.
yeah, I've always just grown up love going to that meet and got to go back last year as a pro, so that was pretty special.
Cool. How did you get involved in the sport of running?
I have a long family history of runners. So
Okay.
my grandpa was a runner and he actually coached our high school team for about like 30, 40 years for a long time.
Wow.
And then my parents both ran and they met in college at Mankato State.
Oh, cool. I know where Mankato State is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool, cool. Yeah, I'm from St. Louis, so I went to
Oh,
school, high school in St. Louis, then moved to California. So, but I'm back in the Midwest now because we like Wisconsin. So, um,
nice. I
kind
love
of
the
enjoying that.
Midwest.
So when you got involved in the sport, was it in high school?
Yes, actually started in middle school
Okay.
loosely. I was doing a bunch of different sports and I just started doing cross country in the summers. There was like a summer meetup cross country group, and then we would do some middle school races in the fall. So that was how I started, and I just really loved like the friendships I've made throughout cross country, and then just started to learn that I was better at running than I was at any other sport.
What other sports did you do?
I did softball, soccer. Um, when I was really young, I did gymnastics and dance for a little bit.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so basketball. Yeah, I've kind of tried it all.
Oh, nice. What were your first experiences with cross country like?
um, my parents were pretty careful with me there just because they were both runners themselves, and I
Mhm.
think they just didn't want me to like go too far into it early on, and
Sure, sure.
wanted me to really like it and didn't want to pressure me into anything. So yeah, I feel like my experiences like when I was first starting were very controlled. Like my
Hmm.
parents were like making sure my long runs was never over 10 miles and um,
Hmm.
just making sure I always had off days and making it really fun. We had Friday fun day that we would just like do a scavenger hunt or play tag that day. It wasn't even like anything to do with
Cool.
running. So yeah, I feel like I had a very good experience growing up with it.
So when you ran in high school, was your grandfather coaching you?
No, he actually retired right before I started running, but
Oh,
he basically coached me. I was always calling him for advice,
nice.
and it would be like, "Oh, I have this like injury. Like, what do I do?" And my parents are like, "You could ask us too. Like, we ran," but I'd be like, "No, Grandpa knows best."
No, Grandpa has the street cred, man. I
Yeah, for
get that.
sure.
That keeps it fun. Um, what do you remember from high school cross country?
Yeah, we had a great high school team actually, and that made it really fun. We were just like we're very competitive, but it was also just like a very laid back environment as well. And just
Hmm.
we're able to we won state 2 of the years I was there.
Cool.
So yeah, that was a very fun experience and still keep in touch with a lot of those people.
That's cool. If you were talking to a room full of high schoolers about cross country, what suggestion would you give them to be better at that sport?
It's going to be a boring one, but
Okay.
consistency. I feel like it is just so important to
Mhm.
be healthy and stack those years after years on top of each other. I remember in high school, I had a breakout freshman year and I won state, and I just had all this pressure that I was going to be like winning 4 state titles in a row and all this like stuff. And every year was just going to keep getting better. And I actually never PR'd until senior year. So
Wow.
it was
Okay.
a
Yeah.
tough,
Yeah.
like sophomore, junior year. You just kind of like, yeah, you they go through a lot of changes in high school. So you just can't expect to just improve every single year. And that was something that looking back on it now, I'm like, wow, I wish I kind of knew that instead of just like always being disappointed that I didn't
Yeah.
PR that year, that I was
Yeah.
actually like growing a ton as an athlete and I was going to have that breakthrough is just a little delayed.
Sure. Um, did you compete in postseason events in cross country?
In high school,
Yeah.
uh, yes, actually, we competed in NXR and then NXN my freshman year and my senior year.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. What did you think of that experience?
Oh, it was so awesome. It was like the pinnacle of high school cross country. You were like
Mhm.
making, especially as a freshman, making NXN. It was just like everyone on the team, like the upperclassmen were like, oh, this is what it's all about. Like, it's so fun going here. And you go there and then you get all this Nike stuff and you get to like be on Nike's campus and see all like the best runners in the nation. So, yeah, it's a really fun experience as a high school kid.
What do you think, what impact do you think it has on athletes when they get to see some of the best in the country?
Such a big impact. I still remember like waiting in line for a picture with Shalane Flanagan, which is so
Oh, wow.
crazy because like she now has coached me and I know her
Yeah,
very well. So it's funny just to remember like how big of an impact she had when I was just a freshman to where she's still at now.
that's cool. That's cool. Um, what were the biggest changes for you going from high school to college?
I think pretty much everything. I was not training very hard in high school, so college was kind of like a big wake up call for me. It was increasing mileage, increasing intensity, and you have to be very careful when you increase both of those at the same time.
Sure.
My freshman year was definitely a bit of a roller coaster because of that. I did very well in cross country, and then I kind of struggled as the track season went on. And that was just all adapting to everything, adapting to all the
Sure.
change. And that's something that just happens a lot to freshmen. And you just kind of have to expect that and then kind of, expect that and then respond with like decreasing your load in certain areas.
Who was your coach in college?
Mark Burns, he actually
Okay.
coaches at Arkansas now.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I just saw, I was reading about some of the changes to the Arkansas program.
Yeah.
Um, what was the biggest difference in training for you between high school and college?
The mileage was a big factor for me in high school. I was running pretty low mileage. I would say in the 30s. I actually didn't even count my mileage. So
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
that's how low it was. And then college, it was like, oh, you got to start running a little bit. So we
Sure.
increased it a bit to like in the 50s range. I started tracking my mileage and cycling it, added a little bit of cross training in there. So college, it was just very smart development every year. I never really increased more than 5 or 10 miles a week every year. And
Hmm.
then my junior year, I wanted to increase more, but my coach was like, nope, we're at such a good spot. Let's just hang on to this consistency and just really like work on improving your workouts. And I think that helped me a lot. Just like I stayed healthy all of my college career.
Um, what do you think, comparing high school cross country and college cross country, um, what were the biggest differences for you in college cross country?
Everyone's good. It was
Yeah.
like you kind of went from being like, oh, I can like dominate this race, or there's not
Sure.
that many people in this other race, and then you have your state meets and your regional meets. You have big meets in there, but college, it was like it felt like every single race, it was like you're just in the pack and everyone has a kick and everyone can hang with that. And yeah, so it was just a big adjustment. And even practices were an adjustment for me too. I
Mhm.
started off in college like being probably our fourth or third runner. And yeah, that was just like, oh, this is kind of tough. But I kind of loved it too. It was just like being able to learn so much from the upperclassmen and being able to develop a ton and not have so much pressure going into college. I wanted to go somewhere where I felt like I could really like develop and help a program.
What did you study at Mizzou?
I did health science.
Oh, cool, cool, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the the challenge of being a university student as a Division One athlete, as well as someone who's focused on their academics. Can you explain that to our readers? The juggling that goes into that?
Yeah, it is very difficult, especially when you're at, especially if you have a major where they are just not lenient with that.
Hmm.
I was actually looking into dietetics for a little bit, and that was kind of challenging in that regards to be missing class. There's just some majors that just don't really allow that, and
Yeah, yeah.
you have to just be very very good at communication with everyone, just telling your teachers ahead of time, like, hey, I'm going to be out like this many times this year, like kind of have an idea of when your meet schedule is. And a lot of the
Hmm.
times you'll leave on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday for a meet, and then you're just missing that whole half of the week and having to make that up. And it's definitely challenging, but at least I feel like if you're on top of it and you're organized, like it actually isn't horrible, but the second you get a little like behind, it's very hard to get back caught up.
Sure, sure. Did you like indoor track in college?
I love indoor track. Yeah, I don't know what it is because I am more of a distance runner, but I've always
Sure.
just very, it's just a very fun environment. It's a short season.
Yeah.
I was always able to like kind of rush my fitness to get ready for it. And it's just like, yeah, it is like a fun environment. I felt like I was able to handle like, you know, like having twice as many laps as it is. I
Yeah.
think mentally I was able to like very much like still like know where I was at for everything and know when to kick and all that stuff. Cause I know, especially running a 5K, you kind of see how many laps there is and you're like, oh my gosh.
Did you like running the 3K indoors?
Yes. The 3K was one of my favorite events actually.
Hmm. Yeah, the 5K indoors, I could see could be a huge challenge.
Yeah,
But
that was always the one that was like, oh, I have to run this because I
yeah,
am a distance runner. But the 3K was pretty fun because I kind of got to mix it in with the 1500 runners, which I liked.
cool. Did you ever race at BU?
Yes, I set the American record in the 3K at BU.
That's where you did it there. Okay.
Mhm.
What, so for someone who has had experience there, and I ask this of a lot of the athletes, what is the magic of the BU facility?
I I don't know if it's mental or if it actually truly, I mean, I felt so fast on that day.
Uh-huh.
Going into it, I was told it's like a downhill spiral. And so I kind of just mentally channeled that
Yeah.
and we went out pretty quick, but I personally do well when I go out a little too fast. I feel like I can die very well. So I think that race catered towards me a little bit, but it was such a fun environment. It's so fun that everyone just kind of crowds up into like the last lane of the track and they're all cheering so loud. It just makes it such a cool environment to run fast.
Now, when you ran 40.02 for the 1500, talk to me about that event.
Yeah, that PR still hurts me a bit. Point oh 0.02 is very tough for the
Oh
barrier.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Especially I remember coming down that line and seeing the clock and I legit thought I ran like 3:58 and then it corrected and I was like, "Oh, are we sure? Do we want to double check that?" But yeah, no, I'm still going after that barrier. I need
Good.
to break that.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Mhm.
Um, let's talk about your 5,000 um, That's 14:26:34. What do you remember from that race?
That was a very cool environment just because it was during COVID and, we no one was having any meets going on, but
Yeah,
our coach was like, "Nope, we're gonna still train like it's normal," just because it would help us a lot knowing we didn't really know what was happening with the Olympics. We
sure.
knew it was delayed, but we were also just hoping it still happened. So he
Yeah,
wanted us to just train like it was a normal year because we wouldn't take all that time off going into an Olympic year. So we wanted just to stack more consistency. And he was like, "We're going to train for American records and personal bests. And you might not even get any credit for this." He was
yeah,
sent us up to the mountains and we were just training for these really hard races that we assumed weren't going to be videotaped at all and that our coach was just going to be out there with a hand time and
yeah,
just telling us, "Oh, you ran 14:26, like
yeah,
congrats." And you would have no proof of it besides Jerry being at the track. And so
yeah. No.
luckily everything developed. I credit Emily Pritt. She helped make that happen a lot. And
Hmm.
our coaches really helped with that. And we were able to put on these really incredible races and have all of our own teammates pace us to these really fast times. And it was such a cool thing to be a part of.
Yeah, I have some wonderful pictures of your 5,000 race.
Yeah,
Um,
like
and I
6
put them
or
up on
7
Run
of my
Blog Run.
teammates pace,
Yeah,
and
it
that
was
was
pretty cool.
really awesome.
Um, how did you deal with the time of COVID as an elite athlete?
Yeah, it was definitely hard at times. I think just, like, really just the delay of the Olympics was the hardest part because
Hmm.
I at that time, I've never made an Olympic team, and
Sure.
I was really gearing up for, 2020, and then when it got delayed, I was just so sad because I felt like I just came off that 3K American record, and I was like, "I'm in the best shape of my life, like, this is so
Yeah,
frustrating. I timed
yeah.
this so perfectly, and it's like, you know, just nothing I can do." But then as, 2021 came around and the Olympics still happened, I was just so grateful that everything still was able to happen because we could have been in a situation where they just canceled it all together. And that would have been something really hard.
One of the things, Krista, that you were talking about earlier was some of the pressure that athletes put on themselves at various stages in their career. When you were in college, you won an NCAA cross country title, and then you won NCAA track titles, I believe, too. Um, can we talk about the cross country title? Were
Yeah.
you were you confident you were going to do that? Were you surprised a little bit? What do you recall from that championship?
Yeah, that's still like one of my favorite races. Just because I felt like it really like put me on the scene and
Mhm.
it just helped me a ton develop as an athlete and just like get to where I'm at now. And I went into that race with no NCAA titles. And honestly, I didn't even get invited to the press conference beforehand. I felt like I
Wow.
should have been invited, but
Yeah.
yeah, I wasn't being talked as like even a top five contender. And so my coach just kind of used that to like really fuel me. And he was like, "You should be in that top five. He's like, "I think you are like top three shape." And that surprised me because I was like, okay, felt like I've been doing really well this season, but top three is like, ooh, that's a bit of a reach. But I ran like I should be in that race. And then I kind of fell off a little bit with right before you make that turn to the straightaway of Terre Haute. And I
Hmm.
just remember, like, I can still like remember hearing my coach, and he was just like, "You're a track athlete, you can catch these people." And I was like, just snapped into another gear. And I just felt like I didn't even like I was like pinch myself when I crossed the finish line because I was like, this is insane. And it was just such a cool moment to win
That's
a cross
awesome.
country title.
That's very cool. And then I see that you are the female athlete of the decade at Mizzou, because you were the first Missouri athlete to win two individual titles, correct?
Yeah.
NCAA? Okay.
Hmm.
That's pretty cool. I think that's really neat.
No, thank you.
Um, that's now when you started running for Bowerman Track Club, So I'm going to throw this one out to you. Do you have about 10 more minutes? Are you okay with time?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Karissa, thank you so much for taking your time today. I really appreciate it.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm going to put you in a room of high school girl athletes and who are interested in your experiences at the high school and college level. Um, we've talked a little bit about the intensity going from high school to college. What about the changes for you going from a collegiate athlete to a professional athlete? How would you explain that?
Yeah, that's an even bigger change. I feel like for me, especially, it was just like I didn't realize being a pro how much you just like ride that line of injury. You're just
Yeah,
like very much like, because you're training, everything is focused on running now. In college, it was like you're balancing school, you're balancing running, you have a bunch of other things going on. Of course, college kids nowadays, I do feel like they're training more like they're pros. But
yeah.
it's hard. I mean, you're just like, you're maximizing in every area and your body just like it takes a toll on it. And I was never injured, and then I just kind of went through a big injury cycle as a pro, and that was pretty difficult for me to just like try to trying to figure out how it was all happening. And I just kind of took a
Hmm.
step back and started to really realize like what I respond to, what like triggers injuries for me, and most importantly getting out of that injury cycle, because it's pretty
Sure.
easy when you're coming back from something, you're always rushed because, you know, the next thing just seems like it's the most important thing too. So that is a big mistake, is rushing your injuries to your own timeline versus their timeline.
Now, you're still working with Jerry, correct? With Bowerman?
Hmm.
Um, when do you guys plan your activities a year out, or do you go a longer time period?
Typically a year out, I would say, just because a lot of things change. But there is like things that we usually target, like, you know,
Mhm.
obviously worlds, the Olympics,
Sure.
all those big targets. But we will go back and be like, okay, how are we gonna like set this up this year? And it's pretty important to not just like, yes, you're targeting the Olympics, but you can't be targeting the Olympics for 3 years. So it's
Yeah.
important to have all these other goals in line with it as well.
What was the difference between your experience your first time as an Olympian and your second time as an Olympian?
Yeah, COVID had a big difference on the two of them.
Mhm.
Being able to have my like friends and family there, where it was so cool, and
Yeah,
just like running in Paris was just an awesome experience. And I kind of struggled my in Tokyo, my first Olympics. I was pretty injured. I had at the time needed double Achilles a surgery, and
oh
I
wow.
didn't have it yet. So I was just
Yeah,
running on these torn Achilles every day, and just running was not fun anymore. And I doubled in the 10K and the 5K. And I just remember like hobbling around in between races. And it
sure.
was just a pretty painful experience for me. And I'm so happy I now have Paris to look back on. And
Yeah.
I was just in a way better place, mentally and physically. And just having my whole crowd of like people there with me too was like a very fun experience.
You've raced very well at the 10,000. You've got a PB of 30:18:05. Do you see yourself breaking 30 minutes?
I really hope so.
Yeah.
Especially because I look back on my PB and it was in a championship race. And I really feel
Yeah,
like and obviously there's not a lot of opportunities that you're in really good 10K shape and a race is actually set up for you to run fast. So you
sure.
have to sometimes run your PBs in championship races just
Hmm.
because of the nature of that event. But I do look at it and I'm like, that's one that I'm like, there's room to grow there. And I would love to attack a fast 10K sometime soon. Yeah, hopefully, hopefully soon.
So you've made the Tallahassee team. Um, Tell us about the race at Glendevere Golf Course.
Yeah, I've never really raced, well, besides like obviously college, but as a pro, I haven't really raced in December. So that was kind of like a quick
Oh,
turnaround for me
yeah.
because I raced all the way up until I think September, or late August. and in the track season. So having
Yeah.
to like, reset, take your break, and then build up again. It felt like a pretty rushed build, but I was feeling like pretty confident in where my training was at, and I felt very strong. And so going into that race, the whole goal was like, okay, let's get on the team so that we can just then build from there, and worlds will be different. And so going into it, it was like expectations were, it was just like, I want to make that team, but I also had no idea where I was at. And then it was so muddy. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay,
Yeah.
this is going to add another element to the race. But it was really good. Like, one of our assistant coaches, Alex Osberg, was kind of just telling me to like, this is like a really important race. So you have to like stay engaged. So he was like,
Yeah.
every K, just like re-engage. He's like, it's going to be really easy to be out there in the mud, kind of having a pity party and just like fall back a little bit. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I found myself constantly just re-engaging as the race went. And I actually felt better in the second 5K than the first 5K, which was pretty surprising for me. I felt very strong out there. It was just at the end, my legs were like pretty cooked from running in those conditions.
Yeah. I walked the course the day before and I was doing some video to show our readers. And all I could think of is about what would happen the next day with the senior races,
Yeah.
because you were at the end of the day, and you watch kids falling in the girls' race. I remember too, a couple
Hmm.
pivotal moments were in the NXN girls' race where people fell, and I was kind of going, "They're falling this. How difficult is it going to be later?" You know?
Yeah. Yeah. It was crazy too because we had, with a 10K, they had to make the course a bit longer. So we were going, it almost felt like there's two different courses out there. There was one that
Sure.
was just like muddy, slick, and then there was one that was pretty good footing, just crazy hilly. So you were just having to like kind of fart like this race out there because for me, I was very bad in the mud. So anytime I was in the mud, I just noticed people were either like passing me or getting some ground on me. But then I would just go sprinting on the surface that I had like some traction. And that's like what I had to keep doing because I was like, okay, like this is where I can get some ground. And
Yeah.
aerobically, I felt very good. I just couldn't get my legs there with the mud.
What shoes do you use on your hard days?
Training shoes.
Yeah.
Um, Well, for training, I kind of cycle a bunch of my shoes. So I've been really into the pluses lately. There's like a
Sure.
Structure Plus coming out that I've
Yeah.
been really liking, and Vomero Pluses, I believe, are already out. And
Love that shoe. Yeah, that's really
yeah,
nice. Yeah.
they've been just feeling very good. And I also I'm a big fan of the Vomero. So I also wear the Vomero 18 in my trainings a bunch
Cool.
too. So yeah, I
What do
just try
you
to cycle through my training shoes.
what do you wear on easy days and long days?
Um, Yeah, it's kind of variation. Definitely on like a long run or longer run, I'll do a Vomero of some sort.
Okay.
And then on some of the easier days, it'll be either a structure or a peg. I used to only wear structure, but
Mm.
I have found for me, my foot, like it likes to rely on things. So I need to change up my
Sure.
shoe a bunch so it doesn't get lazy.
What do you race in?
I love racing in the Dragonfly Elites.
Cool.
And then I train a bunch in the Dragonfly twos.
Awesome. Awesome. Do you do strength work?
Yes. And my favorite shoe for that is the Alpha Fly 3. That has just worked very well for me. I
Mhm.
do it on the road, I do it on the track. Like some of my teammates make fun of me because they're just like, you should not be doing that fastest stuff in Alpha Flies. But I'm like, I love them.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Um, what is the workout that gives you the best indication of your fitness, but you may not be very fond of?
Ooh, that's a good question. There's there's a lot of hard workouts that I would say are not my favorite, but there is one that I feel like always gives me like a good indication of where I'm at, and that's
Sure.
kind of just like a classic mile 12, 8, 4, and then we add a mile on the end. Um,
Okay.
and that's just like it's always at we're at altitude usually when we're doing one of those workouts, and
Mhm.
it just starts with such a burn and
Yeah.
it ends where you're just like it feels worse than a race sometimes where you're just like I am going lactic with 800 to go. Yeah.
Um, when you do altitude training, is it mostly Park City?
Yes, a lot of the times it's Park City. In the winter we'll go to Flagstaff, but yeah.
How do you like running in the snow?
It's okay.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say it's my favorite. I
yeah,
definitely love summer altitude the best, but
sure.
yeah, winter altitude can get a little bit challenging.
With this year and no, well, will you do the world indoors? Are you going to attempt the world indoors with over 3K, or what are you thinking?
I haven't decided yet. I've
Okay,
been just kind of focusing on cross country, and luckily that's so early. It's January
sure.
11th, but I've had to really like focus in on my Christmas plans and stuff just because like that's going to come up really quickly. Um,
Yeah.
but then it allows me to like potentially have an indoor season. So yeah, I'm just kind of trying to see what I want to play out for the rest of the year, especially with it being an off year.
Karissa, thank you so much for taking your time today with us. We'll be keeping our fingers crossed and thinking about you for Tallahassee, and
Yes.
looking forward to hopefully seeing you on the board or the indoor. I call it the board still because when I ran indoors, it was all wooden tracks. Now I can hear Paul laughing in the background, but yeah, 25 laps for a 3K. That was always special, but
Yes.
but it was a 160-yard track, so it was kind of you know going a little bit like that.
That would
Um,
be crazy.
yeah, a little bit crazy, but
Yeah.
thank you so much. I've enjoyed watching you race. I'll come up and say hello at the next time I see you at a race. But we're with Karissa Schweizer today. This is the Journey to Compete. And Karissa, thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you for having me.